My name is Waffles, and I'm a government whistleblower turned political commentator, and this is the last 24 hours in the news. Today is Saturday, August 23rd, 2025. It is 8:47 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. Here are the top U.S. news highlights for the past 24 hours. Judge rules Alina Habba appointment is unlawful. A federal court declared that Alina Habba's appointment as acting U.S. Attorney for New Jersey was invalid as it exceeded the legal 120-day limit without Senate confirmation. This finding puts potential indictments and prosecutorial actions she led at risk. Mass National Guard mobilization across U.S., including D.C., around 2,000 National Guard troops were deployed to Washington, D.C. under Title 32 authority as part of Trump's crime emergency initiative. They were stationed in low-crime areas like the National Mall and initially unarmed, leading critics to label the deployment as symbolic and politically charged. The Pentagon plans now to arm them. Pentagon plans similar deployment to Chicago, mirroring the Washington deployment. Plans are underway to mobilize several thousand National Guard troops and potentially even active duty forces to Chicago under federal crime and immigration mandates. Local leaders, including Mayor Brandon Johnson and Governor J.B. Pritzker, have strongly opposed the operation as unconstitutional overreach. Broader immigration and crime-focused Guard deployment. Up to 1,700 National Guard members are being mobilized across 19 states to assist DHS with immigration enforcement and crime-related logistics. These troops will support case processing functions like fingerprinting and transport, not direct enforcement. Expansion to New York and sanctions on local leadership. Trump signaled plans to expand federal crackdowns to New York and Chicago. Targeting Democratic-run cities, he further ordered commanders to arm D.C. troops while issuing stern directives to prosecute local leaders and critics. Civil rights advocates warn the moves appear politically motivated and expansive. Anti-ESG policies face legal pushback. Proxy advisory firms Glass Lewis and ISS are suing Texas over new laws restricting ESG, environmental social governance, guidance, citing violations of free speech rights. Meanwhile, several Democratic state attorney generals are challenging the Trump administration's plan to reverse the EPA's greenhouse gas endangerment finding, warning of scientifically unsound policy shifts. The Habba ruling reaffirms legal constraints on appointments. The court's decision undermines the administration's pattern of interim appointments without Senate review, reinforcing legal boundaries on executive authority. The stock market closed today with the SPDR, the S&P 500 ETF, at $645.31, which is up 1.5%. The SPDR Dow Jones Industrial Average ETF DIA closed at $456.64, up $1.94. Invesco QQQ Trust 571.97, up 1.58%. For those of you who are visual, this is the stock market close for Friday, the 22nd. This is the S&P 500. This is the Dow Jones. And there is Invesco QQQ. Market highlights. These gains reflect a strong rally across major indices, powered by optimism, investor sentiment following Federal Reserve Chair Powell's speech at the Jackson Hole Symposium. Market optimism stemmed from Powell's neutral tone and emerging expectations for a potential interest rate cut as early as September, igniting a broad rally, particularly in rate-sensitive sectors like tech and consumer discretionary. Here are the U.S. trade and economic highlights from the past 24 hours based entirely on recent news. U.S.-India trade talks stall amid tariff escalation. India's Foreign Minister S. Jaishankar confirmed that trade negotiations with the U.S. are continuing despite rising tensions over America's imposition of steep tariffs on Indian exports. A 25% tariff is already in place, with an additional 25% set to take effect on August 27th, bringing the total to 50%. Jaishankar emphasized that India must safeguard the interests of farmers and small producers, and noted that the scheduled U.S. trade delegation visit has been canceled. Fitch reaffirms U.S. credit rating amid tariff-fueled revenue gains. Fitch Ratings reaffirmed the U.S. sovereign credit rating at AA+, citing the economy's strength and its financial flexibility, particularly noting that a surge in tariff revenues, projected at $250 billion in 2025, would help narrow the deficit from 7.7 to 6.9% of GDP. Fitch's outlook remains stable, in line with prior assessments from S&P. Powell hints at September rate cut. Markets react. Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell signaled that a rate cut in September may be justified, though he reaffirmed that policy decisions will remain data-driven. His remarks at the Jackson Hole Symposium triggered a rally in equity markets and put downward pressure on the dollar and bond yields. Fed caution remains ahead of policy shift. At a regional Fed research conference, St. Louis Fed President Alberto Musalem emphasized the need for more economic data before making a decision on a rate cut. Inflation currently exceeds the target at nearly 3%, and while labor market risks haven't yet materialized, Muslim said future policy changes would depend on incoming economic signals. Global markets tread carefully amid rate cut uncertainty. As anticipation builds around Powell's speech, markets displayed cautious behavior. Treasury yields rose, and futures priced in a lower probability, around 70% of a September rate cut. A mild recovery in energy and real estate offset weak performance in the tech sector as investors remain sensitive to evolving inflation and policy cues. And remember, kids, the stock market is not the economy. Just because the S&P 500 or Dow Jones might be up does not mean that wages are growing, jobs are secure, inflation is under control, or that people are thriving. Incoming weather hazards for the next few days: West, Great Plains, and Southwest. Overview: temperatures moderate significantly, with highs dropping from the low 80s today to the 70s early next week. No extreme heat or wildfire threats anticipated. Relatively calm and stable weather ahead. Midwest and Central U.S. seasonal cool down continues, with highs ranging from the 80s to the 70s. No storms or heat hazards expected, ideal for outdoor activities. Expect a mix of clouds and sunshine if you're in the southeast and Gulf Coast, with possible afternoon thunderstorms, especially Sunday. Keep an eye out for localized downpours. Moderate rain could briefly disrupt travel or outdoor events. Northeast and Mid-Atlantic overview: gradually cooling temperatures ranging from the low 80s to the low 70s through Monday. A chance of isolated thunderstorms on Sunday. Watch for lightning if planning outdoor recreation. A notable drop in temperatures in Southern California and on the Pacific Coast, which offers a break from recent heat. Average highs in the 70s to low 80s. No significant wildfire or heat threats are currently forecast. Hurricane and coastal impacts. No present threats to coastal areas. Hurricane Erin, while not factored into this forecast widget, continues to generate dangerous surf and rip currents along the east coast, especially the Outer Banks. Stay alert to local marine advisories. And for international news in the last 24 hours, Taiwan and China clash over World War II narratives. As the 80th anniversary of World War II's end passes, tensions are rising between Taiwan and China over historical interpretations. Taiwanese veterans express frustration at what they view as mainland China's revisionist narratives, while Beijing continues pushing its account of the shared history. Russian nuclear plant hit in Ukraine drone strike. A Ukrainian drone attack ignited a fire at the Kursk nuclear power plant in Russia. The incident damaged a transformer, prompting a reduction in output at one reactor. Authorities say radiation levels remain normal. Australia announces major tax reform push. Australia's treasurer supports a productivity commission proposal calling for substantially lower corporate tax rates, aiming to boost foreign investment. The plan includes reducing the rate from 25% to 20% for mid-sized firms. Markets brace ahead of Fed speech. Global sentiment swings. Global markets remain on edge as investors await Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell's Jackson Hole address. Treasury yields are rising, signaling waning confidence in a swift rate cut. Meanwhile, Chinese tech stocks reached a decade high, and political instability in Japan is driving local bond yields upward. Senegal, I'm pretty sure that Powell already spoke today. I'm just going to double check on that real quick. Yeah, he already gave his speech today. That's according to reporting from Reuters. August 22nd. I don't see a timestamp on here. So that would be today, though. That's today's news from Reuters. He did already speak. Senegal under scrutiny over hidden debt. Senegal's undisclosed $11.3 billion debt load is triggering investor and IMF concern. An ongoing IMF mission is evaluating the situation, balancing demands for transparency with the risk of destabilizing the economy. U.S. military deployment plans stir controversy in Chicago. The Pentagon is reportedly finalizing plans to deploy thousands of National Guard troops to Chicago under a federal crime and immigration initiative. Local leaders, including Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker and Mayor Brandon Johnson, have condemned the proposal as unconstitutional. Worsening East Coast storm threats from Hurricane Erin. Hurricane Erin is now one of the largest Atlantic systems in recent history. It continues to churn offshore. It is blamed for dangerous rip currents and coastal flooding and beach closures along the eastern seaboard, posing a serious threat to coastal communities. And this is the last 24 news. It is 9:03 p.m. Mountain Standard Time.
So the Olympics is great. And Johnny, for the others, you know, the World Cup, Johnny is the head of it. We had our top people, Wasserman. They all came in on the Olympics, and then I saw Johnny. And we got the World Cup, too. And, you know, it's only because they rigged the election that I'll be your president representing you there. You know, I got both of them. I got the Olympics, and I got the World Cup. And I said, you know, it's too bad. One was in 2026, and the other was in 2028. And I said, I won't be there. I won't be your president. But then they rigged the election, and now we won, so I'm going to be your president for the Olympics. and for the World Cup. So, Johnny, thank you for the World Cup. And everybody, thank you for the Olympics. We're going to have a great time.
Hey guys, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and comment on my videos. And also, don't forget to check out my shop where you could get this awesome Real Patriots Punch Nazis t-shirt. America, fuck yeah! And if you go to the link tree in my bio on most platforms, it's got links to everything, all of my stuff. You can find my shop there. I'm on eBay. You can also get this cool Exterminate MAGA sticker, cause MAGA's fucking cockroaches. And fuck MAGA, abolish MAGA, fuck you MAGA.